I always love our life sciences community. We have some of the smartest people that present on Life Sciences Night. Thank you. Welcome back. We're going to have a good audience here tonight. Thank you for attending. We're already over 100 and we just opened the doors. So this is a very good sign. I have a number of announcements to make and then we'll get started pretty quickly here. It's so great to see everybody. One thing that I would recommend for those of you who want to network, you might want to press the three buttons on your video and go to the rename and add your email after your name. It's just a suggestion. We're trying to get as many people to get to know each other and meet each other. And sometimes we have folks that watch the video replays on YouTube and would love to know who and how to get a hold of one of you, but there's no way because they're watching it days, weeks, months afterwards. So just a suggestion, add your email address after your first name. And you can do that by, again, for those that are just entering the room, there's 3 dots on your video image of yourself. You can click on that and rename and add your email to your real name. If you're going to present tonight and you want to be if you're a life science founder, let me make that very clear. If you are a life sciences founder and you would like to pitch tonight, go to the reaction button and select the raise hand so you can get in the queue. If you're not in the life sciences and you're not a founder, please do not spend any of our time tonight. We have lots of events. Next week, it's for all industries. Just don't pick tonight. I want tonight to be all about life sciences. So anyways, we'll talk about that in a moment. Let's see. I think we have enough people to get the event started. People are still coming in. Hello, everybody. My name is Mark November. I'm the moderator and founder of this event. You can look me up on LinkedIn. You can follow me, but I can no longer accept first connection. So if you send me a first connection request and I don't respond, please do not take it personally. I maxed out at 30,000 and I'm almost up to 31,000 followers now. I would love to have all of you as followers. Please follow me. Also, I launched a newsletter, which was partially influenced by Luke. I will say, Luke, you did inspire me to look into that. Thank you very much. And I have about 2,500 people that have already signed up for the newsletter. I'm sending out something almost every day. So if you'd like to hear my thoughts on topics that range from finance with world events to the startup world and raising money and the things that we're all here for, you may want to subscribe to that newsletter. Also, if you haven't subscribed yet to the Venture Starters newsletter, we have a Venture Starters page on LinkedIn. We're going to be hitting around 8,000 followers within the next week or two, maybe even the next few days. And we're almost up to 4,000 people that have signed up and subscribed to that newsletter. It's really more dedicated to just news about our upcoming events. I don't do a lot of additional content yet because we just don't have the time. Anyways, welcome to all who are just joining us. Thank you very much for coming to Venture Starters Life Science Evening event. Again, for the new people that are just arriving, if you want to pitch tonight, you need to raise your hand digitally. So go to the reaction button and look for the hand raise. But you need to be a life science company for tonight. Please be life science oriented. That's what tonight's all about. Open up the chat. Also, if you'd like to send messages or see the messages that are happening, please do not spam our chat. Our community has gotten really great at monitoring the chat. And if you see others in the community that are telling you you're spamming, please stop spamming it. We're trying to keep the chat to be functional so that we can remain on Zoom without having to go to a different platform. The rules are simple. If this is your first time here, just know that the rules are to play nice and be nice and act nice. We're not trying to embarrass anybody here. That's not the goal of this event. This is a networking event. It's mostly designed to hook you all up with people that you need to know, and then you can take those conversations outside of the event. We only have a couple hours to do this event, so you're not going to be able to close tonight. Those of you that actually would like to pitch tonight, 2 minutes. It's a 2-minute elevator pitch. That's the whole idea, is just tease people with enough information and give us a chance to then want to know more. You're not going to be able to close any investors one time. If you come to our event, you think that you pitch and you walk away with a check, and at one time you're here and you're done, you're probably wasting your time. You need to, in my opinion, build a following and build people interested in what you're doing, which means come back multiple times and network. Networking is the way that you get people to invest in your startups. As an investor, we just don't love investing in total strangers, no matter how great your idea is. We like investing in people that we have a sense of who they are by seeing them over a period of time and getting to know them. The best investors are people that basically know you or know of you or get to know you than, somebody who literally is just being cold called or spammed. So, use it, take advantage of our huge community of amazingness and get to know as many people as possible. We're called Venture Starters because we're the people that start and support new ventures. My family pays 100% of the cost of putting on this event, and we do that so that we can make it free so that everybody can participate, not just the founders that are here to pitch, but also the investors and also people who would like to join startup teams. I'm advertising, actually paying for ads on LinkedIn to try and attract some amazing people to get interested in the startup teams that we actually, have here. And as a result, some of the people that are here are actually looking to join a team. Those of you that are pitching, you may think all you need is money, but I can tell you that, one pathway to funding that you may not have considered, and we're going to talk about this on Saturday at an special event that I'm hosting this Saturday, is if you can bring one person onto your team who literally knows the right people, knows the right investors, can open up doors with make the connections a warm introduction instead of a cold call, that can make all the difference in the world to getting funded or not in what's going on in 2023. It's a difficult year to raise money. So we hold these events every Wednesday because I believe the only way to actually move us forward is through networking. So I hope you'll continue to come back. The upcoming events include this Saturday, a new event. We haven't done a Saturday event in 2023, but because Silicon Valley Bank collapsed last week, and there's a lot of concern about how startups are going to raise money and also deal with the huge issue that's hanging the elephant in the room, which is valuations. The reason Silicon Valley Bank collapsed was not simply only because interest rates went up. It was also because they and other banks in Silicon Valley and the region were bidding against each other to get their customers, and basically they were lifting up and raising valuations way too high, and those valuations were not sustainable. It was a combination of a perfect storm of events, and valuations are a big issue this year. And if you're raising money, valuations are a topic you're going to be thinking about a lot this year. I can assure you of that. So come this Saturday, the event starts at 12 noon. I have it scheduled for 1 hour, but it might go a little bit longer. The whole idea is fundraising strategies for 2023. I'm going to present my strategy, my suggestion to all of you. Many of you already know it, but I'm going to suggest it. I'm giving it away for free. It's the best idea in the world as to how to raise money. In my opinion, it's worked for me many times in the past. I'm going to share with you how I do it. And maybe some of you will want to embrace that. And others who have ideas on how to raise funds in 2023 are welcome to share their ideas too. There'll be a Q&A. So come Saturday, you can register for that event at venturestarters.com. Next Wednesday, it's going to be an open to all industries that want to pitch. And we're going to do two things that are very different that day. In the beginning of the program, AJ Mirabadini, who has a program in April that is essentially called the Investability Workshop. It's a free event. I'm going to be a participant in it. Are you investable? If you're having trouble raising money, you may want to attend this free workshop, basically to get yourself as investable as possible. Highly recommend it, and you'll learn more about it at the beginning of next Wednesday's event. Even more interesting to me, though, is on an ongoing basis, Professor Dave, who's one of our community members, who teaches at the college level entrepreneurship, is going to launch a 5-minute, what we're calling the 5-minute MBA. Actually, he's calling it the 5-minute MBA program. He's so smart. He's so wise. He's got a lot of information to share. Come at the end of next week's event. Oh, we've got a little bit of noise. Sorry, everybody, please stay on mute. Our event works best when everybody's on mute. So anyways, he's going to start off next week by teaching our community how to do elevator pitches. I think it'll be very useful for many of you to stick around to the very end of next week. We'll do a Q&A afterwards. Professor Dave hopefully will be joining us many times in the future with wisdom and a lot of information that I think our community needs. I also want to mention Thai Global Angels has an event on April 6th. I'm pretty sure some from Thai Angels will be here tonight. Please look in the chat for the information. Luke will also be posting it, I'm sure. It's a great event, and I highly recommend you all check that one out. And then the following Wednesday, 2 weeks from today, we're going to focus on women only. This is March 29th. And on March 29th, I would love to see all of our founder pitches be from women. We did last week, in honor of International Women's Day, at least half of our program was women pitching, and it was fantastic. And it just inspired me to want to do one night every month where we have our women founders pitch. But that doesn't mean men don't show up. Please, men, come to support our women founders. I mean, this is a really great thing. And we have some extraordinary women in our community, and you all should get to know them. And I myself can't wait to see what happens on that night. And also the next life science event will be on April 12th. So in the event that we can't get everybody who's in the queue tonight into the event with your 2-minute pitch, we'll take a list of everybody that remains. So stay in the queue, and so you can at least get on the list, stay to the end of the event. And then we will use that list as a way of getting people into the queue for the event on April 12th. You'll have to come early, at least 5 minutes early, to be let in the room so we can get you into the queue. Otherwise, you'll just be in with everybody else. Okay, let's get started. So my first guest is actually my newest client. They're called Magvation. They've already raised $6 million. They have 50 hospitals that want to buy their operating room innovation as soon as we get FDA approval. We're looking for a pathway to $10 million to basically launch and set them up for a really great exit. We're hiring talent that personally knows investors, no pitching total strangers. That is the model. Find people that join your team who know the investors you need so you can avoid pitching total strangers. We're going to be launching some ad campaigns for Magvation in the next couple of days. I'm real excited about it. And I know we'll find people through these ads that will be perfect. But somebody in our room right here today might be perfect right now. So we're going to basically start off with Jason Howe, who is the founder, CEO of this company first. I have 2 other people that I'm going to introduce, and then I'm going to go to the queue where everybody's got their hand raised, and I see Henry Arrowwood is the first in line. So he will then be the first once I get to the queue, but I have 3 sort of special guest introductions, and we're going to start with Jason. So Jason, if you're ready, go unmute and let's hear from you.
Thanks, Mark. So first of all, and for those of you who haven't met Mark in person, he is a force of nature. Actually, he's gravity, an unstoppable force. He's helped us a ton, and the new model he has, we're pretty excited about just from some of the preliminary looks into it. And so Mark's right. We've raised money from 150 now investors, anywhere from 5,000 to 500,000. And so just been a good journey, and the value that a lot of these people, the surgeons and people that have signed up, have been tremendous. So yeah, listen to Mark. He knows his stuff. That's my plug, Mark. So at any rate, Magvation smartly takes the humans out of preventable human errors. Okay, human distraction is the leading root cause of surgical errors. Literally distraction in the operating room, and that comes in a lot of different forms. But during surgery, the total focus should be on the operation. not on mundane tasks that avert attention or cell phones or playing with the music. And it happens more than you know. Third leading cause of death in the United States is preventable errors. And
no, I said go ahead and then be Audrey right there.
I know this from personal experience, as the reason I started this company is my dad had 2 needles left in him, and that's why we started Magvasion. He passed away, but I'll tell you, we have built a heck of a company around preventing that. And so we innovated a class 2 medical product, surgical device, and an OR platform that literally automates the counting of surgical sharps at the OR table. Right now, that the way that surgeons and the scrub teams have to count meticulously everything that goes on the surgical field is done by hand. So literally the errors that took my dad's life were a matter of penmanship. It's what it came down to, penmanship. So it's just one of those things that we figured out a way that has a lot of innovation behind it, computer vision, some blockchain, a whole lot of optics and things to really count these small needles. And we've delivered it as a platform that also alleviates distractions and that delivers music in a way that isn't delivered to the surgeons today and handles their cell phone calls. So using a bunch of AI and informatics, we've just done some great things. As Mark said, we've now passed our kind of friends and family insiders, and we're going to open our first round institutional with using Intersection Capital, and we're going to raise 10 million at a 50 million pre. We did bring down our valuation because we just hit some FDA things, but as Mark said, pretty sensitive these days. But looking for people right now as we scale up the company. We're at that stage where we just raised a couple extra million to get us over the hump, but this money is to really take us to the promised land. As Mark mentioned, we have 50 hospitals that are due to try and buy, and that means that we get it to the FDA, and we've already got several million in revenue signed up of some of the Mayo clinics, Cleveland clinics, the top 10 basically. So really excited, hell of a team, and would love to talk to you. We're having an event on the 31st in Carlsbad. If you're interested, ping me. And just really doing some great things. So I'd love to talk to you if you're interested in a financial position. Actually, talk to Mark. Go through Mark. And we've had a lot of people coming after it. So thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Jason. And I actually had forgotten to mention earlier that I would like to do a short Q&A after each presenter. It's not going to be long, but I would encourage those in the audience that know more about molecules and life sciences than me, who actually have good questions, to also participate so that it isn't just me asking questions. So
Mark,
yes,
question,
please.
This is Duran. Thanks for the room. So he mentioned that they're raising $10 million. They already raised $6 million. Is that a $4 million bridge on the initial $6 million, or is there a new $10 million that they're raising?
No, it's a new 10 million. We've been in since 2016. This thing has taken a lot of innovation, a lot of people. And so we've used about 5 million. We're on another million right now to get us to May. And we're raising an additional 10 million.
Oh, got it. So you guys are selling about 16.6%. You said a pre-money of 50 million. So the post is about $60 million.
Right on.
Okay. So Is this, Mark mentioned about an acquisition? Are you guys positioning the company so that it can get towards being acquired?
So plan of record, great question, is in 2027, we'll be acquired at current comps right now, around 750 million to either Stryker, Cardinal, or Medtronic. I did a sponge counting company that we sold Medtronic for 235 and a couple others under our belt with our team. MedRad went for over $1 billion. One of the guys in the company. So we're pretty good at working backwards from the math and figuring out and then being able to scale.
Yeah, that resonates. Why you guys initially wanted to strike at the $100 million valuation, but because of the tailwinds, you guys brought it down half to that.
We brought it down a little bit. Once we truly launch our 510K, we can triple, but we need money to get there and get the product manufactured. But
now, last quick question, because I'm interested in what you guys are, because I put together pools of people. I have a group of investors. They invest all the time, but a large portion of this group, they're accustomed to the SPV model, where they can invest and get contributions in the LLC, the SPV, and the SPV sits as one person on the cap table. Are you guys in different type of financing frameworks?
We do all kinds. Right now, we're actually still an LLC, so we have independence. We can go to a C corp, but right now we can do syndicate. We're really concentrating on blocks of 5 million to 1 million, and then 2 millions, and then a 5 million, basically for the full 10. If I said that right. So.
Yeah, that's it for me, Mark. Let's get in contact. I would love to connect them with my group of investors.
Thanks,
Great. Thank you, guys.
Appreciate
Mark,
it.
Thank you.
And if anybody else has any questions of Jason, please meet him in the chat, or you can reach out to me directly. I'm going to move on because just of timing, we have a lot of people here that want to at least speak. The next up is a company who I totally believe in. Please take a close look at iLight Innovations. This is the same team that brought you LASIK surgery. This is the same doctor who was part of the team that invented the LASIK. Now he's come up with a solution for glaucoma, and his partner is the same guy who created the manufacturing for the LASIK medical devices, now focused on the glaucoma. These two guys are all stars, and I really believe in what they're doing and how this is going to all play out. So let's meet Dan Summers. Dan, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here. How you doing, Mark? Thank you for such an introduction. I thought I was going to have to backtrack and tell a little bit about my history in this, and you pretty much hit it right in the nail of the head right there. So we're doing the same thing for refractive surgery for glaucoma patients. Glaucoma patients, a little bit different. You have to enter the eye and create some channels in the trabecular meshwork, which they're doing right now with basically stent, which is like a pop rivet that they pop into your eye. The problem is that 100% of these companies that are on market right now, and this is a very fast growing segment of ophthalmic surgery. In fact, it's one of the fastest. They'll put in 1 million of these stents this year, 1 million. So they don't have visibility of where to place them in the trabecular meshwork. They need to use what you call a gonial lens, which requires you to hold one hand above the eye and hold the gonial lens while you're looking through the surgical microscope, and it gets really clunky. It's hard to do. So what we have is a new game changer. It should disrupt this entire industry, and it's called GELT, G-E-L-T. It's guided excimer laser trabeculostomy. So what we are planning on doing is using both endoscopic and optical coherence tomography, OCT systems, which have been around for 30, 40 years and are good down to about a 1 micron resolution. We don't need quite that resolution, so we're not cutting edge. What we're doing is marrying known and mature technologies for a new novel use, which is fully patent protected. Mark, we just got our 28th patent issued 2 days ago. So we're very, very well patent protected. Right now, we are actually in, I'm not sure if you know about the medical device market, but they do your due diligence before they give you a term sheet. They want to make sure that the technology works. We're in due diligence with 2 strategics, and we have a couple of individuals who are also interested. But the way that we look at it, the more the merrier. We would rather have more investors rather than put all our eggs in one basket, because then we're beholden to board of director seats and things like that. Dr. Berlin and I are not businessmen by any length or imagination thereof. I'm an engineer. I worked on an excimer laser in Boston. We moved it out to California. I moved out in '92, and it became LASIK. So I've worked in that field for 30 years. This is basically the same thing, except it's fiber delivered by hand. And we're going to develop a sealed xenon chloride excimer laser. So there's no solenoid, no gas bottles, no solenoid manifold, no control. All that is taken out of the equation. And all that is a tough sell, because the service overhead required for all that stuff. So we've very much simplified the design, and we're going to be using these mature technologies, marrying them together to stop this blinding disease. And a lot of people actually go blind from glaucoma. My dad has glaucoma and my roommate has glaucoma, and it's very near and dear to my heart. So we're gonna make it work. That's all I have to say. We're looking for a first tranche of 12 million and the second tranche of 17 million to profitability. This is a multi-billion-dollar market. And like I said, this year they're putting in over 1 million stents. Glaukos, which is the largest stent maker, is an over $1 billion valuation right now. And this should supersede their technology. We're not leaving anything in the eye. These stents are about the size of a grain of rice, and they're only good for 5 years. ELT, not unguided, but ELT has been on market in Europe for about 20 years. But we're coming on market with 20-year data, which is unheard of in the medical field. I don't know if you're out there from med device, anybody, but it's absolutely unheard of to start off with 20-year data. And we just had a big write-up in the Journal of Cataract Refractive Surgery, July 2022, that shows efficacy of this. So if you're interested at all, please check out www.eyelightinnovations.com or email me right there at dansummers@eyelightinnovations.com. And we can hopefully get together and get you on board before the Series A is all wrapped up.
Quick question, Dan.
Yep.
So there's a piece of capital equipment, excimer laser. How much is that going to retail for? And is there a significant disposable component to the procedure?
Yes. The retail is $0. We're going to give these away. And the reason is because the tips that we will be selling will pay for the entire system in 2 months at 8 treatments a week. So the cost of the system, cost of goods coming out of the chute, is probably going to be about $100,000. It isn't fully developed yet. But as we first came out with the STAR LASIK systems, the cost was about $300K. Within 3 years, we had it down to about 114, and we were building 300 a year. But they're the size of a small Volkswagen. This is going to be the size of a wet dry vac. It'll look like literally an R2D2 size system, smaller system. So the cost of goods is much smaller.
Dan, first of all, props to everything that you're doing. I think it's tremendous that you're doing this, especially since eyesight is one of those things that we take for granted. And when you lose it, and I've actually benefited from LASIK. So thank you so much for that.
You're very welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. So my question to you, Dan, is as far as this new procedure goes, does this help with recovery time after the typical, compared to the new process the new approach that you're talking about compared to the existing approach to glaucoma?
Yes.
Is there a difference in the recovery time with this new approach compared to the existing approaches?
Yes. So the one thing that I should probably tell you about is that the first targets of our system are actually cataract surgeons. And the reasoning is they're already in the eye. And when you do a cataract procedure, a cataract is the calcification of your lens in your eye. So right. It has to be ultrasonically broken up and aspirated out and then replaced with something. So they upsell a refractive lens. 20% of those people that have cataract surgery are glaucoma patients as well. So what we would be doing is placing these systems for a low cost, leasing them, so to speak, but we want to retain control because if the ASC is, there are already CP codes already released for these. I mean, this is a given, so we already can do the math. In fact, I have a 4-page pro forma showing the math all the way out through the next 8 years. This would be a first-line billable CPT. In other words, the doctors and ASCs make more money doing this than they would doing a cataract procedure. So as the first line billing is you get 100%, second line billing, you get 50%, and so on and so forth down the line. So the doctors and the doctors and the clinicians and the ASD will actually make more money doing this than not doing that. So when you're talking about healing, when you use 193, 308 in tissue, there is no healing response. That's why LASIK works so well, because if your eye healed, it would regress and you would have to get it done again. Do you know what I mean? So that's the beauty. The beauty of the trabecular meshwork is there is no healing response for it. In fact, we have 18-year-old data showing the channel still in place. Dr. Berlin, Michael went out to Germany and saw one of the first ladies that he did this to 18 years ago. He called her up, had her come in the office, and she came in and she told him she forgot she had glaucoma.
Oh, wow.
So,
Dan,
I mean,
Dan, I'm going to have to wrap it up, even though I think you're amazing. And Dr. Michael Berlin is in the room. I think I saw him. And if any of you are interested in meeting him, he's amazing too. And anyways, I've got to move on though. Thank you for the questions as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and Dan, I would love to see your pitch deck, but I would love to have like a further conversation with you about it.
Please email me and we'll hook up.
There you go. Okay. Up next is actually one of the people who've been at almost all of our events, and his name is, and I may get his last name not exactly right, John Succarini. I am so sorry, John. Anyways, John is one of the smartest people in our room. I should have memorized his last name by now, my bad. But I'd like to invite him up to be the last of the people to pitch before we start the official cue. John, please share your information with our audience.
Okay, I have one thing. Donna, your screen is really kind of distracting me. It's right next door to me. You might want to change your camera. My name is John Succarini. My background is in women's health, OBGYN, and more of the developing new technologies to eliminate the speculum, the stirrups, and all that kind of nifty stuff. Women like it. And part of our research, breast cancer and breast pain rose to the top. And lately, there's been a lot more identification on how breast pain is really accelerating, and they're looking at ways to reduce it. So years ago, I developed a technology for alleviating breast pain, and it's a pad that goes on the breast, and it's got 32 different bipolar electrodes in it. So what we can do is we can make one electrode a positive and another one a negative or whatever. So we can actually put targeted electronics, electrostimulation on the breast, and it actually reduces the pain in that area. Taking the electrodes a lot further, we have this process called electroporation, where the electrodes would actually open up pores in the breast, and then the doctors would be able to administer any kind of a chemo drug or some sort of a lubrication or whatever to mitigate what the breast cancer is. But more importantly, it's the breast pain. We've been able to reduce breast pain by 85% for anybody who's been wearing it, for the women that have been wearing it. There's been 1,200 women, more than 1,200 women through the studies. As far as utilization beyond breast pain, we've been using it for women that are breastfeeding, where also the NIH and the FDA has indicated about a 40% increase in milk generation by having the electrodes on the breast. And we're continuing to develop new technologies that, whereas where in the breast, we now can collect heart rate, we can collect blood pressure, we can basically collect everything that we need on how a woman her activity is going in a specific time. It's all downloaded to a cell phone. The cell phone does whatever they've got to do. And then if it's necessary, it's uploaded to a doctor for analysis and a determination what else can be done. In that mode with the cell phone, the physician will be able to download new programs that may better fit the problems that the woman is having. And lastly, with the electrodes totally circumventing the breast, we can actually massage the breast. And electrodes, as they go around, it takes a certain area, massages it, and then keeps going around. Once it reaches a point of real heavy pain, it will burst it like with radiation. So as it keeps going around, it's actually working to, we're hoping to reduce tumors. What I'm looking for right now is I need more women involved in this thing. I'm looking for a team. Right now, everything's been funded by me. We need another $375 to get the technology done. The FDA process is going to be fairly simple since there's predicated devices, and we hope to have this thing in the market within about 8 months.
Thank you, John. John would benefit from a co-founder. If anybody is out there that would like to, or a CEO that would like to join what John is doing, absolutely reach out to John. Anybody have any quick questions?
I do. Okay. Just kind of, because I was like all over the place when you're talking about electrodes in women's breasts and things of that nature. I was curious as to the 1,200 that you said they were part of the study. Where did they come from, and what were the demographics with regard to your study?
Apart from Kenya, Thailand, Dubai, England, and the United States and Canada.
Okay, and again, age group, what were the demographics? Older, younger? I mean, older women already have sensitivities, and many of them who you mentioned earlier with regard to going to the OBGYN, you have some communities that don't have the access to even going to a gynecologist to get those services. And because we have such a high rate, particularly in communities of color, I'm just thinking maybe we can kind of talk offline, because a lot of the things I'm doing now within the veteran space, we're trying to get the VA to be more aware of the needs of women in the military and trying to build out support services. So that might be a vehicle, in a direction there to get you more people, more women involved and more access to funding and, the type of market that would be more inclined to this. The electrode issue is a kind of hard, because particularly women of color have such a high incidence of breast cancers of the most voracious kind. Having any type of stimulation may not necessarily be beneficial for them. So that's why I was asking about the demographics. But
women of color was a very special area that we studied, and Asians and Mexicans and everything else, because women of color suffer from more GYN issues than the other cultures. The other thing is, it doesn't have to be a GYN. It could be a nurse practitioner. It could be a therapist that's educated how to program these things.
Right. That's what I said. We can talk offline, because like I said, I work with a local doctor in Queens, and we have a large number in the women's population. And as I said, we come from a large veteran population in this region. So I think there's a number of marketplaces that can be beneficial for, for what you need to do, and some possible funding areas.
Thanks.
Okay. My email address is in my picture. So
I have a question.
I wanted to.
Hold on, everybody. Gabrielle, you're next.
Thank you so much. While I certainly don't have a history of breast cancer myself, but I'm older and I have what's called dense breast. Yeah. And of course, there's been a lot in the news lately that says, oh, you have dense breast, you're more likely to have breast cancer. And I have implants, which I'm not going to remove, because actually I've learned, if there's no problem, don't mess with them. But every time I get a mammogram, I have to go twice and all this stuff. I have really no pain. My question is this. When you talked about how this stimulates and maybe opens up, would this be helpful for dense breast per se and preventing tumors? Because this is what I honed in on, because the thing is, I think everything's fine, but there's so many women that have dense breasts as they get older. And the thought to me to have something that could possibly prevent that, like there isn't really a problem, but let's, as we get older, that would be exciting to me. I also own and operate a medical practice and would love doing clinical trials if I can be involved in any way and help and be and offer, a patient pool. We can talk about that as well.
Yeah, quickly, I don't want to get into the technologies of this thing. It's pretty remarkable. But we actually have sensors in the bra that as the shot of energy is into the bra, we can actually sense what is the density. And so what happens is the system will go around and it will map the breast into areas that are sensitive, not sensitive. And that's all part of what the therapist has to program.
And would you think, and that could be helpful then possibly in prevention of tumors? I mean, you had mentioned that was kind of a goal in some sense.
The answer is
that if we had long-term studies around that, I would love to see that and participate. I'll sign up personally. Thank you.
You can read that in the FDA and the NIH studies, and the answer is yes.
Thank you.
I had a question. You mentioned electroporation. So are you thinking of using that ability for drug delivery?
Yes, that is a possibility. In fact, there are little ports within the pad that will accept medication and everything. So as we identify areas that need any kind of a medication, we would amplify the electrical stimulation where the pores will open and the medication will be absorbed.
Okay, I'd like to talk to you more offline. I will reach out to you.
I love this. So many people are interested in John. That's fantastic. But we are going to have to move on. Meet John in the chat. And up next is Henry.
Cool. Hi, Mark. Thanks so much for the time. Excited to be back for my my second week. My name's Henry Arrowood. I am the founder of FarmShare. We're an ag tech business creating infrastructure and tooling for small producers across this country to sell direct to market. We're definitely a life science enabler. One of our advisors is Joel Salatin. For those who don't know him, he is probably one of the most prolific thinkers on the future of farming. And he has a great point, which is the future of farming and our move towards more regenerative practices will not be brought about by government nor major corporation. It will be brought about by consumer choice. What we do is we provide responsible and easy access for consumers to buy directly from small regenerative producers. I started this company after moving from San Francisco to a ranch in Montana during the pandemic, where I quickly became familiar with a lot of the inefficiencies plaguing the U.S. food supply chain. Given my e-commerce background, I thought there was a tremendous opportunity for us to build a network that would connect independent farmers, fishers, and ranchers directly to market through an e-commerce protocol. We're right now raising our pre-seed fundraise of $1 million. We're about 30% there, and we're looking for investors to get behind us to really help us empower our two main missions. One being we want to provide every American with cost-effective and convenient access to responsibly produced food. And two, we want to empower small ag businesses across this country with a more financially secure future. So thank you.
Quick questions to Henry.
Yes. Hi, Henry. It's Callie Taub. Hi. Okay. So my agency partners with Women in Farming. I'm in Nebraska and relocating to Cleveland. I added you on LinkedIn. My brand is called Unpreserved. We're an equity marketing agency, and we go from small farm to big box store to Whole Foods and Costco. So I would really like to talk to you because I know at least 10 farmers that are women in the Midwest that could benefit immediately from what you're talking about. And they are all looking for technology infrastructure that's affordable, that's turnkey, and almost idiot proof, because a lot of the people that work in the farming culture are not trying to work in tech. Okay, so I hope to speak with you in a few, and have a really good night.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We'll definitely connect.
Henry, quick.
Go ahead.
This is Duran. So is this like a B corporation or a C corp? What's the thinking around that? Because I didn't quite.
We're a C corp right now.
Got it. Okay. Can you talk a little bit about the unit economics? Because when I heard you speaking, I was thinking misfits. Are you a provider for the food that the farms may not think is the best food to send to the grocery stores, or are you better in the logistics of the actual farm? And how do you actually get to revenue? And compare. I want you to just throw them all out there because I know Mark wants to move fast today. So unit economics is one. And the second one is, like, how is it looking for your capital raise? Are you raising that through a SAFE? Or are you raising that through a traditional common stock or preferred stock?
Yep. Awesome. So I'll run through those quickly. So the unit economics, so we're a very capital efficient asset light model. We are nothing more than connective tissue drop shipping these products around the country. So compared with like Misfit Markets, for example, we never own inventory, we never own warehousing, we never own distribution. We really are providing the tooling and solutions for these producers to actually connect with and sell their products online. So we partner with both UPS and FedEx to pick up packages directly from the farm and send them directly to customers. We take a 15% take rate, and that's our B2B2C model. But in the next year, we're actually going to be building out our SaaS toolkit to deepen our relationship with these producers and provide infrastructure to help manage their end-to-end business. So that's the unit economics bit. In terms of the investment vehicle, we're raising it on as SAFE.
Okay, we're going to have to move on, though. We got a lot of good information. If you want to meet Henry, meet him in the chat. Up next is Ray.
Thank you, Mark, very much. Been an attendee for this for quite a while. Impressed with what you've done and appreciate listening to other people. I got two things to do in 2 minutes tonight, so let me get to one. I'd like to announce in a project with Acumen America, we've just released our RFI specifically in the social determinists or social drivers of health area. So if you are a technology enabler, a technology provider in the SDOH space, we got 3 states, New York, Iowa, and Kentucky. We're going to be working with them through 2023 to implement tech-enabled solutions for the Medicaid population. Now, the real reason I'm here is we have a non-emergency medical transportation company called Hitch Health. Hitch Health is a very interesting organization providing essentially rides, if you will, transportation for patients to and from clinics, hospitals, emergency room, urgent cares, and so on. Hitch Health has a patented algorithm that we have shown is absolutely accurate in forecasting which patients need which rides when. We want to raise $1.5 million to $2 million specifically for a complete code refresh with Hitch Health. And we are also looking for people to help us expand and roll our platform out in multiple states in the Medicaid population space. We have real world data, real world outcomes. It's cost saving and revenue positive in the hospitals and clinics that use Hitch Health. I think I made it in 2 minutes, Mark.
You did. You were great. In fact, everybody take notice. We need shorter pitches because we have so many people that still want to pitch tonight. Does anybody have any questions, Ray, real quick?
And everything's in the chat, including Hitch Health, including the RFI.
Well, it would help us if we could move along. So those of you that are interested, meet in the chat. I'm going to move on so we can meet as many of these founders as possible. Up next is Rajiv.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mark. Nice to see you all. Some of you may know me from earlier statements that I've made, which Mark kind of called out as a per se unfriendly name. I won't kind of get into that right now. Today, I'm here to talk about Lilly Launch Tools. So Lilly Launch Tools is a software that helps marketers with their strategic planning process. Now, why is strategic planning so important? Yes, I know strategic planning isn't the most exciting thing in the world, but when done correctly, your entire team knows what's going on. And when they know what's going on, they then know what actions to take at the right time to take it, and then they actually do it. So the net result of all this is that your launch happens on time, potentially faster, on budget, thus reducing your cost of goods sold and potentially adding millions, if not billions of dollars to your top line. Now, the process that the IP that runs Lilly Launch Tools has been tested previously on a major pharma company, the net result of which was adding an additional $1.5 billion to their top line at launch. I'll repeat that. An additional $1.5 billion, yes, I use the B word, $billion at launch when they use this process that Lilly Launch Tools provides. So that is one use case that let us know that we were onto something. The product is currently being trialed at Becton Dickinson, and it also has a lot of interest from Novartis. And there are several other companies, both large and small, that are trialing it right now. We're looking to raise $1 million on SAFE. The funds are going to be used largely on customer acquisition, operating expense, and phase 2 product development, which has already started right now. Where the information is going to be in the chat, of course. And just as a special thank you to Mark and to honor this community, we are offering a special, not 30-day trial, but a 60-day trial, so that every one of you can take it for a test drive, try it out, and the benefit is that your entire team, whether you're working with an inshore team, offshore team, outsourced team, whatever kind of team, across geos can all be aligned in the same way. So because now you can actually visually see your strategy in a 2D environment. And you can play with it, you can manipulate it, you can zoom in. And it is the only tool that maps your goals all the way down from your goals, objectives, tactics, and key activities, also known as tasks. The word key activities is used in pharma and life science, hence we're using that term. And this is the only strategic planning tool that was designed specifically for pharma and life science.
Okay, good. Well, those that are interested, please reach out. And I'm going to move on, though, so we can get to a little bit more specific life science and medical stuff. Michael, you're up next.
Well, thank you, Mark. This is my first time here, and I appreciate it. The talks have been very interesting so far. I'm here to present TherMedical's cure for ventricular tachycardia. And I'd like to address, why would you want to cure ventricular tachycardia? Well, it's the leading cause of sudden cardiac death around the world. In the United States, nearly 500,000 people develop VT annually, and $7.5 billion is spent annually to treat VT using implantable defibrillators. You're all familiar with them on TV, and Dick Cheney has one. The thing is that they are not a cure. They're just a treatment. They shock you when they sense you're going into VT, and the patients live with these painful shocks for the rest of their lives. And the ICDs don't even extend their lives. So there is a lot of money being spent on a very poorly served population. And we have a cure for VT that costs 25% of an ICD. Well, who is our team? How are we doing this? We have a very strong team with deep expertise in electrophysiology. I'm the founder. I invented the AccuNav, which introduced the concept of intracardiac ultrasound. It sells $500 million worth of product every year. And our technology is based on ablation using heat transfer. I have a PhD from MIT in biologic heat transfer. One of our board members is Roy Tanaka. He was the worldwide president of Biosense Webster 20 years ago, and he was the one who really developed the ablation market for tachycardia. Our results so far are extremely good. The FDA approved an early feasibility study. We've treated 41 patients who failed all forms of therapy for ventricular tachycardia. We cured half of them, and another quarter of them had their VT almost eliminated. Our clinical trials are with key opinion leaders at the Mayo Clinic, Vanderbilt, Montreal Heart, and a number of other institutions. And most importantly, we are ready to go. The FDA has approved our pivotal study for release in the United States and has awarded us breakthrough device designation. So we will be able to get an increment on reimbursement once we're approved in 2 years' time. We're expecting a $3 million grant from the NIH to fund all of our clinical trial expenses. And we're simply looking for $6 million right now to help fund operations while we complete the first phase of the clinical trial. I'm happy to speak with anybody about this, and I went a little long and I apologize.
No, you know what? This was a great pitch because I love what you're doing. Thank you very much for bringing this to us. Did you get any NIH grants previous to the $3 million that you're hoping to get?
Yes, we have a strong history of NIH grants. For this project and others, we've raised $12 million.
That's what I wanted to hear. Anybody have any quick questions?
Just a quick question, just tying that into your outreach, who are you trying to position this to? The local clinicians, or are you going after the major hospitals? Or even now with what happened with the football player from the Buffalo Bills, are you looking at even like sports teams and things like that to kind of get that equipment accessible?
We are going for the major hospitals right now because VT ablation is done by referral typically.
Right.
And there's, again, about 120,000 ablations that could be done every year. We think that the top 100 hospitals would be able to handle that.
So quick question. Actually, Roy Tanaka was on my board at Biosig Technologies. I know him quite well. Does this use traditional mapping techniques for a location of the, the site of the ablation? And in addition to that, what's the capital versus disposable component, and how does that work?
Great question. We interface with all mapping technology. We're compatible with all, and we used all of them in our first clinical trial. Capital equipment, we haven't priced that out, but we expect it'll be about $20,000, which isn't much for an RF ablation system. For the disposable, because we have breakthrough designation, we qualify for NTAP reimbursement from Medicare. And so we believe that we'll be able to sell this at $8,500 per catheter without any incremental cost to the hospitals because NTAP will cover the increment.
Thanks.
Oh, very interesting. We're going to have to move on, but Michael, I would like to personally talk to you one-on-one at some point in the next few weeks.
Okay, wonderful.
That works out. Okay, up next is Noah.
Hey, Mark, thanks for having me again. So let's get right into it. I am the CEO and co-founder of VitaMed. And before I get into our solution and what we do, I want to talk about the inspiration and the problem. You see, when I was a kid, I was diagnosed with severe anxiety disorder. And to say that it was just the worst thing to ever happen to me is an understatement. And people like me, you go to therapist after therapist, you're on medication after medication. You just feel like a guinea pig. You don't feel like anything's working. I'm lucky enough to have grown out of it and I'm no longer on any medication, but other people aren't so lucky. And after doing 150 customer discovery interviews with teens, the results were absolutely shocking. And we found that they're having panic attacks the majority of the week, 50% are in therapy, and 1/5 of them are currently in psychiatry feeling like guinea pigs. They need a new solution. So VitaMed is working on a safe wearable and app that lowers anxiety. The device itself actually cures anxiety by stimulating the parasympathetic nervous system, or the vagal nerve, which is becoming very popular. And the app can tell you when, where, and why you're anxious in the first place. We estimate our target market size to be 361,000 parents in the US with children ages 12 to 18 who are currently in therapy and psychiatry for their anxiety, or $180 million in revenue. Our global total available market is 300 million users, or potential $130 billion in revenue. This is a B2C, and yes, once we get FDA approval, it is reimbursable. We are in our seed round, and I'm very happy to say, since the last time I was here, that we do have some interest from an angel group, and we are looking to close on our seed round of $2 million. So, and we are looking to create, like Mark said in the beginning, a relationship. We're not just going to get seed funding like that. We do really want to have smart money behind us and create relationships. So that's it. We have lives to change. We have people's lives to save, and I hope you want to join us for the ride. Thank you.
I love what you're doing, Noah. Does anybody have any quick questions or comments?
I do. Hi, it's Gabrielle. Oh, Noah, you are a man after my own heart. Being in recovery and whatever. Have you heard the term epigenetic trauma?
I have not.
Okay, lots to talk about. I have a substance use mental health practice, over 900 patients. We definitely should talk because I work on, my whole premise is to find non-medical solutions, curative solutions, What you just literally described is actually rooted in epigenetic trauma. I want to share more about that with you. I'm getting ready to do a docuseries on the topic because it's not often understood, but the goal is what you're doing. I'm going to stop here. I'm very excited what you're doing. So
nice comment. Anybody else have a quick question? And
right, let's connect, Gabrielle. Thank you.
I just want to join in on that too, because again, when you're talking about our young people, their rates and with regard to anxiety and depression are very high. Unfortunately, it's still second behind the traumatic experiences that our veterans are facing upon their civilian return and reentry. So if we can couple all of this, and there are a lot of federal resources that we need to get into these types of programs and services to kind of get these initiatives launched into those various locations where they can be the most effective. So I'm very excited about this as well. Thanks.
Okay, yeah, thank you. I would love to connect and talk about that.
Meet Noah in the chat. We're going to have to move on. Up next is Nicholas.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me. So I am the founder and CEO of Propion, AKA How to Slow Time Incorporated. Our core value proposition is to bring two molecules, which we call Propion 1 and Propion 2, to the nutraceutical market. And these are molecules that have been studied from a pharmaceutical standpoint, but are not currently approved by the FDA, most likely because no pharmaceutical company has wanted to take them forward, given that they are naturally occurring in your body, which means that they can be sold as supplements, but they're very difficult to patent as pharmaceuticals. However, the data around them is astounding. We are naming ourselves AKA How to Slow Time Inc. because the preclinical studies really indicate that these could be an opportunity to create an entirely new type of health product, which is a nutraceutical that fulfills significant unmet pharmaceutical need. We're talking about relevant data in Alzheimer's, in sepsis, in stroke, in heart attack, in gut inflammation, neuroinflammation, all types of dementias, and also for those more forward-looking, muscle synthesis and reduction of muscle inflammation. There is also astounding life extension data. So a study that my company did showed that about 2/3 of people think about how aging is going to affect their body either frequently or very frequently. That means that 2/3 of the people in this room out of 218, this product applies to you. I'm speaking to you. I'm speaking about your parents. I'm speaking about your children. I'm speaking about myself as well. That's why I started this company. And so we know there is going to be demand for this product. Our main challenge is protecting ourselves with intellectual property and getting ourselves onto the market with a new manufacturing process. And there are going to potentially be a lot of challenges to getting our product onto the market, but we have key opinion leaders in the longevity industry behind us. There's fantastic scientific data, and we know that this is a product worth going through the risk of failing to get to you, basically.
Okay, anybody have any quick questions? I can tell you that I'd like to introduce you to Dr. Elias, who owns a major supplements company and also is a leader in a medical device innovation for sepsis. He may be able to help you out, Nicholas. So you may want to.
That would be incredible.
Was there somebody else that had a quick question or comment?
Great. Yeah, please feel free to connect.
Okay. Meet Nicholas in the chat. We're going to move on. Up next is Joel. You're on mute, Joel. Joel, you're still on mute. There we go.
I pushed that button. It just didn't do anything. Thank you, Mark. My name is Joel Adams. I'm the founder of First Person Solutions. I just put my contact information in the chat. First Person Solutions has developed the first medication that is proven to treat long COVID and COVID. Our research study proved three things. One, cell wall supplementation for 14 days significantly reduced FSSQ scores. FSSQ is the standard assessment for measuring fatigue. After 14 days of cell wall, we lowered C19YRS scores. C19YRS is the standard assessment for measuring COVID symptoms. And last but most significantly, we lowered PASC scores. PASC is a test for long COVID. It was developed using artificial intelligence. It is the only FDA-approved test for long COVID. And we have printed and published that information in our preprint. The preprint is available. That connection is in the chat. A couple of other significant things. We filed for our patent in February. We are about to get our Ayush medicine license in India. Ayush is the medical form in India of natural medicines. And we are looking for an investment in India to help the rollout and marketing in India. And separately, we're looking for investment to help the marketing and distribution in the United States. And that's about it.
Great, thanks, Joel. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Then meet Joel in the chat. Joel is here often, so you'll see him. Up next is Deanna. You're on mute still, by the way. There you go.
There we go. Sorry about that, guys. Hi, I'm Deanna. I'm the VP of Investor Relations for Kific Biomedical. Kific is solving real-world problems in healthcare for remote patient monitoring, or RPMs. So today's RPMs are limited to vitals as temperature, blood pressure, etc. But none of the RPMs in the market today are non-invasive medical grade diagnostics utilizing biologic fluid. Kific has developed the first non-invasive remote diagnostic platform with real-time biologic data for accurate decision-making. This is absolutely, I believe, going to revolutionize the diagnostic industry. And our wearable device extracts interstitial fluid to provide a non-invasive, real-time, continuous laboratory level data in a compact wearable. It's like having a lab on your arm. And interstitial fluid, for those who don't know, runs through all continuous tissue, touching every organ, picking up biomarkers in real time. Think of IF as the superhighway of real-time biologic data. This data has been inaccessible by the healthcare and scientific communities until now, so we're really excited about it. And our commercialization plan is unique in that it creates many opportunities to sell our vertical businesses multiple times over, creating a tremendous opportunity. And our first commercial deliverable is going to be in 12 months, and that's Kific's IF collection device for diagnostic labs and to drive decentralized clinical trials for pharma research. And the second one is going to be for CGM. And that vertical is going to be ready in about 18 months. And within 24 months, we'll deliver a lactate monitoring device for early detection of sepsis. And I know that's one of Mark's moonshots. So we're extremely excited about that. We've had a lot of traction. Lots of C-level conversations with large med device as well as pharma companies who are obviously potential acquirers of Kific's verticals. Our team's already raised $5 million of the $15 million Series A round, and we're looking to close our round by June. And we're hoping somebody here is going to help us.
Any questions of Deanna?
Quick one. How do you get at interstitial fluid non-invasively?
Electroporation. I know somebody mentioned it earlier, but we have a lot of IP around it.
Thanks.
Yes.
Anybody else real quick? Then meet, oh, I'm sorry, Geeta, you had a question?
Geeta, yes. What kind of biomolecule are you detecting?
Well, it's all dependent on what biosensors we're using. We can detect them all. There's over 10,000 biomarkers in interstitial fluid, about 12% more than blood.
Well, I meant, are the protein, are the nucleic acids, are the DNA, RNA?
So I'm the investor relations person. I can connect you with people on our team in commercialization and our scientists if you want to research that further. I know I'm
just curious.
Yeah, originally, or at first, we're going to be doing glucose and lactate, but the sky's the limit.
Okay,
We've
well,
done a bunch of POCs.
Thank you for the pitch, and I think we're going to need to move on. But before I introduce Ron, who's next up, I just want to throw in a quick little tiny commercial here. At least about 100 of you arrived after I had mentioned this. This Saturday, I'm hosting a special Venture Starters event that is focused on fundraising strategies for 2023 post the Silicon Valley Bank collapse and a whole bunch of other things that are going on in the market. It's at 12 noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. You can go to venturestarters.com to register. Another free event, just mentioning. Up next is Ron.
Mark, thanks so much. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
This is music to my ears. I've heard three presentations about RF ablation, electroporation, and again, this is a space where we participate. My name's Ron Murphy. I'm the CEO of Theromix, where we actually repurpose an existing human protein to make image-guided thermal ablation a more effective cancer treatment. The global tumor ablation market is expected to reach $3.5 billion by 2024. And image-guided thermal ablation involves using needle-like applicators placed directly into tumors using imaging guidance. The energy from the applicators destroys cancer. No chemo, no radiation, no surgery, as ablation is a minimally invasive biopsy-like procedure. Despite all of these advantages, ablation has a 30% recurrence rate. So to mitigate this localized recurrence, we've developed heat sink gel. All ablation systems can use heat sink gel, and its chemical properties augment energy in human tissue, or the movement of energy in human tissue. The augmentation is controllable, customizable, and we create a better tumor-killing environment in a shorter treatment time. Additionally, the gel can be mixed with currently existing chemo drugs, leading to a new treatment that we call TACT, thermally activated combination therapy, which is approximately a $7 billion market. Most chemo agents are delivered through IV, and less than 5% go directly to the tumor. The rest essentially poisons your body. Now imagine mixing a drug with our gel, delivering it precisely into a tumor, and then followed up by ablation. Now you only need a small amount of the drug, and what disease the ablation misses, the drug will kill. The company is raising a $2 million convertible note, coupon 7.5%, conversion discount of 20%, and a valuation cap of $7 million. We have multiple publications in peer-reviewed journals, won the best abstract at the Asian Tumor Ablation Conference in 2002. The company is also a winner of the local M2D2 Challenge Cup Impact Cohort 4. We've received NSF funding in a phase 1 grant, and we anticipate $1.5 million in an additional phase 2 grant in the next quarter. We've just signed on a collaboration agreement with Big Pharma to test our gel delivery system. And hopefully I did that all in 2 minutes.
No, it sounds fantastic, Ron, I have to say. So does anybody have any questions or comments?
Just a quick question. When you said testing, I was just kind of waiting to hear that part. Where are you looking to test? Like, where did you kind of track the demos for the most significant test sites to get the best results?
Well, we're currently doing animal testing at Purdue University. We are a 510K device by the FDA. We are not approved by the FDA yet. Part of the proceeds of this sale will go to our FDA submission, which we hope to have our gel in commercialization for the ablation application by late 2024.
Are you unable to get to FDA approval with just the NIH grants? Is that why you're asking for more? And
Correct.
What's the purpose of the extra money?
The extra money is to do a study at Purdue University, as well as develop the drug delivery application, because the drug delivery application will be a different FDA pathway.
I see. Okay, we're going to have to move on, but fascinating stuff, and meet Ron in the chat. Up next is David.
Thanks, Mark. I'm David Pechkovsky, and I am a 14-time serial founder with 3 exits. I founded a digital marketing company in 2002 that specializes in the health and wellness space. And I've sold over $500 million in products to this consumer segment over the last 23 years. We're currently, my current project is Dapper Care, and we are building a health and wellness platform that gives millions of uninsured people access to high quality personalized care for hundreds of conditions when they need it most. So, and we conveniently deliver generic medications to their doorstep for less than the typical copay. Our Dapper's platform makes healthcare more efficient by collecting patients' history, highlighting common risk factors, identifying adverse effects, and automating patient follow-up, giving clinicians more time to address each patient's requirements. So we make money by selling generic prescription drugs for about $70 per month as part of a monthly subscription that gives patients access to our healthcare providers around the clock. We currently have a 13-person team led by a visionary founder, veteran leadership with appropriate healthcare technology and consumer experience. And we're currently raising $3.5 million for our seed round. And I think that's all I have time for.
Yeah. Does anybody have any quick questions of David?
Yeah, I have a quick question. So David, like really props for what you're doing. Do you have any competitors that are trying to do the same thing you're doing?
No, none. Just kidding. I knew you were going to ask that. Yes. So my business model is that I've always followed, and I also have a venture studio, by the way. So that I've always followed the same model, and it's, you know, I don't recreate the wheel. I typically find a business that falls into line with the same target audience that I've perfected marketing to, and this current business fits perfectly. Yes, there's competitors like Hims or Roman. I'm sure you've heard of very similar business models. So, but we definitely have some differentiations, and we can talk about that offline.
Thanks, David. We're going to have to move on. Up next is Brad.
Yeah, hi, Mark. Thanks for the opportunity to speak today. Brad Niles, I'm the CEO of Rise Precision Medicine. We're developing a product for lung cancer. It's a dual function type therapeutic, directly kills cancer cells through a cytotoxic mechanism. And in addition, activates immune system through immunogenic cell death, release of molecules that recruits the immune system to the site of the tumor. We're a preclinical stage. We have some exciting data in a couple of different mouse models. We're currently raising $3.5 million to do additional funding. We've raised 2.7 to date. We've got a great team of advisors highlighted by Michael Shepard, inventor of the breast cancer drug Herceptin. We are VC supported in Sacramento, California by Moneta Ventures, and interested in speaking to anyone who might want to know more about our product for lung cancer.
Any questions?
Just quick, Brad. Definitely, I'm interested for the most part as a 9/11 first responder, and lung cancer, COPD, anything related to that is one of the leading conditions with those that were down at ground zero. So have you connected with, I guess, Mark, as Mark would say, the NIH or any of those agencies that are directly focused on this type of scenario?
Not with those sorts of folks. We have an SBIR application out that we're hoping to hear back from here in the next few weeks, and have gotten some positive scores on a first submission. So feeling quite good about chances for submission of this go around.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
But I'd love to hear more about the specialized groups. I think that'd be a great introduction.
Okay, cool.
Appreciate it. I'll reach out.
Okay, just because of timing, I'm going to move on. In case you had questions, reach out to Brad directly. Up next is Jati. I'm not sure I'm going to pronounce it right.
You're doing fine, Gita. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Genomic Expression. We have developed an RNA platform for next generation cures because by analyzing RNA, we can detect disease, monitor health, and design the next generation cures now. We are operating as a commercial stage diagnostic, fully licensed clinical lab north of Boston. We have doubled our revenue year over year for the last 3 years and aggregated 4 million. I started the company together with my brother. I have a degree in chemical engineering. He has a degree in a PhD in genetics. I'm the closet geek. He's the real geek. I raise the money, he spends it. And we now brought in a very seasoned management team that done it from idea to exit in immune oncology, genomics, big data, and AI. So the problem we are addressing is that 50 to 80% of cancer patients do not respond to standard of care. Today, they have access to DNA panels. However, that test or those kind of tests can only improve the outcome for 8% of the patients. RNA is a much more informative biomolecule, but it's not stable and it's not supposed to be. And we have solved this issue, and then we have also enabled the translation of 3 gigabytes of data into clinical recommendations using proprietary algorithms, databases, and everything is on AWS, so exponentially scalable. We don't believe in panels. We uniquely identifying and quantifying all messenger RNAs, and we find life-saving solutions for all patients. And we have anecdotal outcome data that we published. Finally, we can envision a day in the near future where we can translate this data into fully individualized mRNA cancer vaccines. We got to where we are, mostly for grants, 8.7 million. We just got 300K from the NCI for rare cancers, and also revenue, 4 million, as I mentioned. We find a very broad patent. We are pioneer in this space. I'm raising our Series A now, and we also opened a bridge with Harvard, led by Harvard Business Angels. So if you're interested, please contact me at glp@genomicexpression.com to learn more.
Great.
Looking forward to your questions.
Does anybody have any questions? I was just curious, how are you making money?
How are we making money?
Who's your customer?
The NCI is a customer, paying customer, and so is some of the university hospitals that we work with. Rutgers is a partner that we clinically validated with. We have free access to their biobank, those kind of relationships, and then grants.
Anybody else real quick? All right, meet in the chat. We'll keep on moving on. Up next is, I'm not sure if your name Ido? Is that correct?
Yes, thank you, Mark.
Okay, hi Ido. Welcome.
Hi, Mark. Hi, everyone. Thank you. So my name is Ido. I'm co-founder of Anicha Health and also CEO. It's after 2 a.m. here in Tel Aviv, but I'm tired. But I'm excited to be here. Around 70 million adult Americans find it hard to concentrate, make decisions, use their memory, or get their tasks done because of extreme levels of stress. Burnout costs the economy between $125 billion in medical expenses and loss of work days every year, not to mention the personal costs to the person and their family. Stress is also at the core of many physical and mental ailments, such as anxiety, depression, diabetes, and common heart conditions, just to state a few. Mindfulness practice and focused breathing are highly effective agents to help reduce stress levels. However, they're very difficult to pick up or use in real time. We've developed a wearable that reflects a person's breathing in real time through soothing vibrations. It is worn on the waistline, and when the person feels that they need aid, they press a button, they start getting vibrations in sync with their breathing. This allows them to stay engaged in what they're doing while also being connected with themselves and with their breath. And this not only helps them get through intense situations, feeling and doing better, it also helps them acquire the habit of observing their emotions before reacting to them automatically. And it gives them, over time, better mental health and gives them better choice in how to react to situations. Over 50 people in our highly structured trials have marked the device as helpful in 70% of the situations they've used it in. We've raised $360,000 to this day from government and private funds and are looking to raise a seed round of $1.2 million to get a device to market, to perform clinical trials, create business partnerships, and develop an early stress onset identification mechanism. Thank you very much for your time, and I'm happy to take your questions.
Do you still have the risk of technology, or did you already build it and it's done and the rest of the money is for other things? I'm not clear.
So the therapeutic part of it is done, it's complete, and it's working. And we want to add an early stress onset identification mechanism. So extrapolate stress levels from the breath and start the device automatically, as well as generate insights for the person.
Okay. Anybody have any questions?
Well, just me a comment again. I think we would be a great clinical trial bed for you because, you know, by nature of my population, this is something we obviously deal with all the time. So I just want to offer that up. Connect maybe later and talk about it and how I structure that. Thanks.
Thank you very much. I'll contact you, Gabriel.
Can you explain a little bit more about how the device identifies the onset of stress from the breath?
So this is in the pipeline. That's not yet established, but the breath is connected directly to stress levels and actually even discrete emotions. So different breath patterns represent different emotions and different stress levels. So through it, there are two ways to do it: through algorithms or through AI, where you train the machine to look at specific breath patterns that are related to emotional manipulation, and from that you teach the machine, and then the machine learns how to identify those breathing patterns and know when the person is stressed.
Okay, so I have a cell phone that I do every day. It tells me what my stress levels are just by doing my heart rate. How does this differ from that? How does this expand that capability?
So first and foremost, we're a treatment device. So we help you so not only know when you're stressed, but also help you come out of stress. That's one thing. The other thing is that we will monitor the stress ongoing. We know how you breathe from moment to moment. So you don't have to stop and check your stress like you would do with the phone app or with HRV. It will identify by itself when you come out of what we call the window of tolerance.
Okay, we're gonna thank you, CJ, for the question. We need to move on. Ido, I'd actually like to see your deck or more information. If you send it to me, I apologize. I'm at least 2 or 3 weeks behind on emails, but I'm curious to learn more. Up next is Gabrielle.
Hi, good evening. Oh my God, where am I at? Good afternoon. Hi, I'm Gabrielle Wired, and I'm the CEO of VAMED Health Group. We service mental health, and we are also a certified OBAT. OBAT, I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but that's an office-based addiction treatment facility. We have a practice, I should say, in Virginia. We currently have 4 locations, and we serve approximately 994 patients. Well, that's not an approximate, I guess it's an exact number how we closed 2022. The last time I pitched was maybe 6 months ago. We were roughly at 800. We're growing very much organically. I have been in this space since 2004. However, this particular company and what we have done has been alive since 2019. We have doubled our growth year over year since 2020. I kind of disappeared after my first pitch because we weren't quite ready with the pitch deck or the financials for an investor to take a look at. So now we're ready. And what we are is we have a different formula for success. Our company is built by people in recovery, for people in recovery, myself included. I have 21 years sans alcohol on May 11th, and never planned on doing any of this, but got thrown into this business and really saw a lot of things that we wanted to help people with. We are forward thinking. We are currently working with clinical trials in CBD. We are forward thinking with psilocybin, biofeedback, different types of methodologies, because we look for that's not to where you don't have to take a pill every day to live, to put it quite simply. We are seeking right now a $5 million investment to take our company, first of all, statewide and then nationwide. Another differentiator for us is that we are treating the whole body, and we have a psychiatric arm, which most companies in our space do not have. We are addressing something called epigenetic trauma, which is also different. And I talked about it a little bit earlier, which encompasses a whole other way of addressing mental health, which everyone is affected by. Our growth, if I had to put it in numbers, but we could project is in the billions but we're starting small to hopefully go to that stratosphere. I'm kind of jumbling all over the place. I'm also highly ADHD, so that makes me a little bit jumpy, so please forgive me. That's what we have to date. And yeah, that's it.
Well, congrats on getting this far since the last time you pitched. Does anybody have any quick questions?
I have a quick question. Gabrielle, love the psychiatric component. Now, are you talking about, is it any therapy, actual?
Yeah, we actually do everything. We also encompass functional medicine. So what I've actually done is I've looked at this whole thing as treating the whole body, being in recovery myself. And I sat in the front desk talking to thousands of patients myself. I've seen a lot of things that were working and a lot of things that weren't working. And so what I've come to know is that it's, it really starts, to be honest, it starts in the womb and it goes all the way through adulthood. So what we have actually done is we have built a practice that is starting to address all of that. And in the most difficult areas too. We're in the Appalachian Mountains. We are going where people really need our services. So yes, we are from mental health, from psychiatric care, substance use, functional medicine. So we are addressing nutritional, body, mind, everything. It is a very, very uniquely different company that we have built. No investor funding up to date. I have built this by myself. It's been tough, but if we want to make a difference now, we need some funding to take it further.
I have a quick question, Mercedes Bonilla. So I'm a board chair for behavioral health for the city of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I also am the chair for recovery. I'm certified peer and recovery specialist chair. So my question is, are you providing peer services, and do you have a medical doctor, psychiatric physician on staff?
So right now I have a psychiatrist, and I also have a psychiatric nurse practitioner, and we're expanding that. We're actually in the process right now of trying to hire more psychiatric nurse practitioners, and I will welcome any psychiatrist. The hardest thing that we had to deal with in all the years that I have been doing this is having psychiatry, because psychiatry, there was just so many different ways of how some psychiatrists think about this in terms of treatment. The answer is yes, but it's also a big challenge. We want to expand psychiatry. Yes, big time. Yes, I believe that answers.
Well done. Sorry, Mark. Well done.
Don't be sorry at all. I'm glad you participated. Thank you. Gabrielle, great to see you again. We're going to have to move on. Teresa, you're up next.
Hi. Hey, Mark. Thanks for letting me come back tonight. Recently, we all saw an NFL player resuscitated on a football field. That increased awareness of emergency resuscitation. And we've learned that even when a heart is restarted with CPR, sometimes a patient still cannot breathe on their own. We're seeing major crises worldwide where people often need emergency breathing support, including earthquakes, chemical exposures, burns, and viruses like COVID. The current standard of care for breathing resuscitation is a manual device that ironically looks almost identical to a football. Emergency response teams squeeze it to push air into the patient's lungs. The manual breathing technique is around 70 years old and has major limitations that threaten lives. It requires multiple personnel to manage a patient, and it can inadvertently harm the patients, leading to long-time ventilation or even leading to death. Hi, I'm Teresa Barnes, and I'm a founder and president of Fluid IQ. We developed a tiny tool that can breathe for a person who cannot breathe on their own while helping emergency responders save lives. I've lost my dad and all 4 of his siblings to lung failure. Our solution is based on the need to help patients like that. It's called Hope Invent. This is actually a fully functioning ventilator and resuscitator, if you can see that. It's a lipstick-sized resuscitator. It fits in the paramedic's pocket. The NIH called it a game changer and talked about it in their director's blog a few months ago, saying these ventilators could be a simple yet powerful tool. It's a single-use disposable device and needs no batteries, no electricity. It's designed to disrupt the resuscitation space. When the first responder connects the invent to a compressor or air source, it automatically breathes for the patient. It was designed by respiratory care and emergency doctors, working with engineers to create a resuscitation device that can be simple to use. We've combined 200 years of experience in the medtech, biotech, and innovation space. On our board of directors is the inventor of the high-flow nasal cannula that's been the hero of the pandemic. We harness the capabilities of 3D printing and simple science of fluidics, our secret sauce that powers our innovation and is the basis for our platform and our filed patents. Our tech is targeted at a $900 million total addressable market. We have sales and distribution agreement with a national and international partner in 120 countries. We continue our 3-year collaboration with the NIH. They completed preclinical studies that produced published data in Science Translational Medicine back in October. We're preparing our submission to the FDA now. We've been invited by BARDA to do a tech watch and have been invited to pitch MedTech Innovator in April. We believe our tiny handheld resuscitator and ventilator will improve emergency medicine, saving lives in disasters and all kinds of mass casualties and pandemics, and saving lives on the battlefield or the football field. Thanks so much, Mark.
I love the idea of what you're doing here. I'd actually like to talk to you one-on-one if you have time. You can get on my calendar at marknovember.com at the bottom of the web page. And for others that want to reach me, that's the way to get on my calendar. Does anybody have any quick questions, Teresa?
Yeah, so Teresa, like, first of all, props for all your success and all the success to come. I kind of have like a slightly, I guess, a different kind of a question. Is there a risk of, because it's so small, I mean, it's great that it's portable, you can put it anywhere in your pocket, etc., kind of like the EpiPen, but is there a risk that because it's so small, it could potentially get lost?
Well, I mean, I suppose anything really small could get lost. The point is for emergency personnel, the staff, to be able to have it on their person, or like in the military, could potentially be in the vest of a soldier. But I think there's always a risk of something being lost. But I'd say with these devices, the way we're going to be packaging them, they should be pretty simple for them to handle.
Do you have an idea how much you're going to charge for it?
We know that it's going to be in the same price range as the manual technology, the standard of care. So in the 100, or so price range, $100. So, and the other thing is it's so tiny, a normal ventilator is, it's huge. It's as big as a filing cabinet. And we can probably put 15 or 20 in a tractor trailer. We can put 15 of these in a FedEx envelope. So.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I'm going to have to move on just because we're running out of time, but what you're doing really intrigues me. Thank you so much. Up next is Jeff. You're on mute, Jeff. And thank you for being on mute. Everybody being on mute helps the event. Go ahead.
Sorry about that. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Great. So first I want to thank you for putting this whole thing together. This is just awesome as a learning experience, but also to be able to share what we're doing. So my name is Jeff Stevens. I'm the CEO of Physio AI. We're building a check engine light for you and your doctor, much like cars have had since their inception. Those lights, some people call them idiot lights, don't tell you what's wrong, just that you need to take your car to an expert. Our lights come in 4 colors, green, yellow, orange, and red. That's in an app, of course. It uses the data from our medical smartwatch, which I'll show you in a moment, which is given to the patient by their doctor. And both our watch and the data analytics are fully reimbursed by insurance. The CPT codes all exist. This is part of remote patient monitoring, which someone mentioned earlier. And so what problem are we addressing? Today, doctors only see our vital signs and other data points of interest in less than 1% of our life. And we show up there once a year unless there's something wrong. And so the patient's real world data outside the clinic is a much better indication of their status 99+% of the time. So our solution is to capture vastly more physiological data flowing off new wearable devices that have multimodal sensors, such as medical smartwatches. But we're device agnostic for our data science, and our medical smartwatch is white label. So its intent is that all of the companies that are remote patient monitoring now, they buy their hardware that they give to the doctor to give to the patient. And we're the next generation of that hardware. We're a medical smartwatch. So the remote patient monitoring market, I think I just mentioned, if not, it's $600 million has been invested in it in the last year. And that's just for the platforms in the cloud. And so the doctor is who becomes our distribution channel, because there's fresh revenue streams from the CPT codes that go to the doctor for remote patient monitoring. That's why there is such a exponential growth in this market right now, but it's all still using first generation hardware for getting the physiological data. So our Check Engine Lite is based on a digital twin, which uses the patient's physiological and movement data. And since every patient has their own baseline, it takes 6 to 8 hours for our model to be able to start to predict where a patient's headed.
Do you have any patents, Jeff?
We have one patent pending.
Okay, but at least something to differentiate you from the others. Does anybody have any questions?
So our other,
go ahead, Jeff. Sorry.
So we have some very important differentiators, if I can jump into those, Mark.
Yeah.
So no medical device before has been authorized by the FDA to have additional third-party algorithms put on it. And my background is in computer science. And so the architecture of our device is such that new algorithms and there's all types of companies out there in the medical world that are developing algorithms, and they need a place to put their algorithms. And they're looking for watch companies to license them. And our model is that the doctors will be able to prescribe those individual algorithms as well as ours. And we do a revenue share with them. And we've already had 6 companies that do this have reached out to us to talk about doing a revenue share. So you can think of us as a medical Apple Watch with FDA approval for all of our data, except that we have even more sensors than Apple does. So people have been mentioning stress. We do EDA, electrodermal activity. So because a number of the algorithms are for mental health that are getting FDA approval, we also provide EDA for them.
Do you provide any more stats other than the 4 colors?
Oh, absolutely. The high level pitch is it's a Check Engine Lite. This is the actual device. This is our prototype right here. You can see the sensors on the bottom. Okay. So we've already can demonstrate all of our sensors live, and we've bootstrapped to this point. And now we're looking for our first seed money or pre-seed money via SAFE. And we're looking for $5 million, which will take us all the way through clinical trials.
Okay, fascinating. Something new. Anybody have any questions of Jeff?
Yeah,
Just
so
did you? Go ahead, real quick.
No, she can go in front of me. I'll wait.
just real quick. We keep hearing about like CPT codes, and it's real easy. Being kind of on the front line with a doctor's office, just because you have a CPT code, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to get paid for or get covered. So my concern is, again, for these communities that can use this and generally don't have the access for it, what is the backup plan if there is no insurance or their insurance is not going to cover this smart technology?
So
has there given thought to that?
So CMS covers it for hypertension, heart failure, chronic kidney disease, COPD, diabetes, prediabetes, obesity, pain management, mental health, and acute care. So this is why $600 million was recent in the last year has been invested in these new remote patient monitoring platforms, because the uptake rate is tremendous. So
okay.
We're second. Your point is absolutely well taken. I'll gladly chat with you further about what we potentially can do for those underserved markets, because we have ideas, but I'm open for learning. Okay.
Okay.
But our reimbursement is, we're a second generation device in a market that is growing exponentially already.
Okay, well, we can talk then. Thank you.
And Duran, you had a question?
Hey, Jeff, did you guys do, it's a two-part question, but it will be really quick. Have you guys launched a Kickstarter for this particular hardware device?
No, because it's really going after FDA approval, but I'd love to chat with you if you got ideas. My favorite thing in life is to learn.
Got it. And then the second part is regarding the technology, like how are you guys measuring this? Or is there some device that's measuring like some form of temperament? Like how does this work physiologically?
So there's the sensors are PPG, the same sensors you see on the bottom of an Apple or Samsung watch, which is the PPG. And then we also have ECG sensors and EDA sensors, and maybe a couple other things that we'll talk about offline if you're interested.
Yeah,
we went to the research community that's building these algorithms and said, what data do you need so that we can be the platform you deploy on?
Got it. So I put my information for LinkedIn in the chat. I would love to talk to you about that Kickstarter.
Okay.
I like that you went and talked to them about what they needed in order to be on the platform. That seems very smart. Shows some wisdom there. Jeff, we're going to need to move on, though, even though it's an interesting new topic for all of us. Thank you so much for pitching. Up next is Tina.
Hi there. Thank you, Mark. Thank you so much for the time. So my name is Tina Karunaratne, and my company is named Karuna Integrated Clinical Services. We are a niche clinical research organization, for those of you who know CROs. And so, our goal is to work closely with smaller biotech pharma companies that are looking for a niche CRO and not your big name CROs that often where you're just small spare change. So what our services are that we cover broadly is strategic clinical operations, clinical project management, program and portfolio management. We also, from an enterprise perspective, we are going to be able to do infrastructure development, such as, getting your vendors in place, identifying the gaps, perhaps in terms of SOP development. Then we also will be covering clinical and medical monitoring as part of your clinical trial management scope of work. We also will be able to do good clinical research practice. In other words, training your staff under GCP, GLP, GMP, as well as inspection readiness. And you often need that at an earlier stage for those of you who've been through it. And then from a quality perspective, we will be covering, fully integrated risk control is what we would look to achieve, clinical quality management, as well as global inspection management. So it is, as I said, a very niche part of the clinical research organization services that we are looking to offer. At this point, I'm the founder of this company. I am not looking for funding, but basically I'm here today to pitch this company, as well as therefore look for potential partners in terms of startups and anyone looking for any of these services from ground up. I have about 20 plus years of experience in the biotech pharma industry, as well as in healthcare. I'm a nurse by training, and I have worked through especially small biotech companies and built these companies in terms of clinical development and clinical operations from ground zero. So thank you for the time. And you can either ask me questions here, or I look to connect with you on LinkedIn. Thank you, Mark.
Thanks, Tina. Anybody have a quick question? Then we'll move on. You can always meet Tina in the chat or on LinkedIn, as she says. Up next is Julia. Julia Parker, you're up next.
Hey, Mark. How are you guys doing?
Great. We can hear you.
Good. All right. So what I'm working on developing is a technology that tracks the functional movement of horses. The reason why is because in the horse industry, lameness, which is the equivalent of you or I stubbing our toe or spraining an ankle, impacts how we move. And unfortunately, with horses, they don't have the ability to talk and say, hey, I hurt. So what they do is they start to develop this compensatory movement to adjust for the pain that they're feeling in their body. And what happens is it just compounds over time and leads to what's called clinical lameness, where the horse has to be pulled out of training, or, you know, they need stall rest or medical treatment. And it becomes this vicious cycle of, you know, the horse is in pain, the rider doesn't know, and they continue to work the animal. And then there's, you know, behavioral issues that show up, and then they think that horse needs more training because what the horse is trying to say is they're in pain, but the rider interprets it as they're being difficult and just need to be worked harder. So the idea is to use 5 sensors, 1 on each leg and 1 on the head, because actually the head is where lameness starts to show up first, and be able to track the functional movement for the horses, create a baseline for what's normal for that horse. It's not to determine whether the horse is lame or not lame, but rather how close to normal or abnormal the movement is, and be able to serve as a early warning indicator of when the horse starts to show these compensatory movements or showing signs of pain with their movement, so that the riders can start to address, you know, is it the saddle fit? Is it, you know, the training frame that they're in? It is all just a number of factors that play into how the horse moves and why they're moving that way. And the reason why I'm addressing this issue is because it costs the horse industry over $1 billion a year on an annual basis on a global scale.
Are the sensors and that whole system already built, or is this a theory?
No, I am a non-technical founder of a technical product. So my biggest thing is being able to find somebody who ideally has that technical background in hardware, software, and manufacturing.
Okay, good. I'm glad you brought that up. So to the community, we have a bunch of smart people here. Reach out to Julia. And by the way, Julia, I actually have a couple of people in mind. You might want to have a one-on-one with me to talk about this, who might be able to help you. But go ahead. I heard some noise.
Yeah, Mark. So I had a question for Julia. Like, Julia, is this somewhat related to gait analysis? Because I know that gait analysis as a technology has existed for at least 10 plus years, which is used in human. It's used by the CIA and the FBI to track perps and everything. So I'm just wondering, like, is this like a different application similar to that, or is it a little bit more advanced?
So as a matter of fact, I have a contact with somebody in California who has a gait analysis product for humans. And because through a contact of mine, they're willing to let me use their product to prototype or get a proof of concept with their product. And just the difference is that the algorithms would need to be written differently, and the metrics would be, you know, obviously need to be changed for 4 legs versus 2.
So I think like another great idea for you, Julia, could be to, I mean, obviously once you develop this further, is potentially even use it for dogs, because dogs is like another huge big category, you know, on 4 legs, whether it's greyhounds that are, you know, for racing, or like even police dogs or snippers, or, you know, the bomb detection type.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's an emotionally driven product, you know, because it's a monetary thing. There's a monetary impact for horses being lame, but there's also an emotional part where people just want to know that they're not hurting their horses when they're working them.
Julia, I'd like to talk to you offline. I have multiple horses and have seen and have been in horses for over 30 years and have seen a lot of it. And I'm also an engineer.
Fantastic.
So
who are you? I don't see your little bubble.
Jill.
I don't know if I'm showing up. You can hear me, but
yes, I can. Okay, perfect. Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, so I will put my contact information in the chat, and I would love to talk to you.
And that's Jill. Jill Embry was the one who was making that question or that comment. You two definitely should hook up. I'm going to move on, Julia, even though fascinating and a new topic for all of us. Up next is Bernie.
Hi, Mark. Hi, everybody. My name is Bernie Kaufman. I'm the CEO of Emergent Healthcare. And in the 1990s, my co-founder invented the remote cardiac monitoring. It actually was acquired by LifeWatch. And this year, it became a $23 billion industry. There is about, maybe 2 years ago, I would say, I was over at the Cleveland Clinic because I was laying down and they wired me with 25 billion wires and so forth. And I said, you know what? And the in this age, there's got to be a better way. So actually, I took out a shirt that I was working on, years ago, that now the technology is feasible. So essentially what we're doing is we're actually making an extremely comfortable shirt that you can actually just put on, and it gives you all of the necessary information, that all the parameters that the hospital needs. And actually, when you're going ambulatory, and we're designing a pad for the remote patient monitoring market, there's a lot of parameters that can't be measured by a watch. So here is where we're filling the gap, and we're actually making a pad and or a shirt that will be able to address the patient monitoring market and the ambulatory patient monitoring market, that actually gives a physician information near real time. Because right now the problems exist that because there's so much noise when somebody's walking around, that it takes someone to actually clean the information before the physician gets it. So by the time they get it, it's a little bit too late. So that's essentially what we're doing.
Are you on an FDA approval track?
Yes, we're actually going to start the FDA approvals, shortly. We're raising to $750,000. Essentially, one of them is for the FDA. So, and we're going to do it on when we consulted our FDA attorneys, basically we can do it on a 510K.
Anybody have a quick question or comment? Okay, Bernie, interesting stuff. Please meet everybody in the chat. We're probably getting tired because we're down to the last few minutes of our event. I may go a little bit longer, but for those of you that are in the queue, stay in the queue, because I may not be able to get to all of you tonight, but we will write your names down and invite you to get into the queue to be our first speakers at the April 12th event. If you come and arrive at the event at least 5 minutes ahead of time, so we can get you into the queue before everybody else does. Because we just have too many people that want to pitch tonight. But anyways, thank you, Bernie. I didn't mean to move on so quick, but I have no choice. Ricardo, you're up next.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Mark, for the invitation. My name is Ricardo Polar, and I am the founder and CEO of PIN4All. We are developing the best data-driven formula to boost and preserve the cognitive and motor capabilities of seniors and patients. Actually, only 25% of people in Europe do enough exercise recommended for their health. So post-COVID situation has installed really bad sedentary habits. The aging population is already a huge burden for society, with increasing cases of chronic and neurodegenerative diseases. So our technology is a data-federated cloud platform that will provide the most personalized training activities as SaaS subscription to boost your brain and train your body, so you can play hard and work hard and be rewarded, training from your home and the metaverse, or even in your local club physically, or a school and local association. So the ping pong is actually one of the most popular games. Yeah, that's the sport I'm talking about, because it's even one of the most complex Olympic sports. So our technology will integrate a recommendation system with all this expert knowledge from experts from Europe from this sport. So we would like to democratize this knowledge with AI and define a digital twin based on your performance metrics of the execution of the exercises, your motion analysis, the biofeedback of your heart rate using wearables, the coach feedback, the patient condition, and the doctor diagnostics and follow-up. So there's a lot of significant clinical evidence that table tennis could be used as therapeutic activity for the prevention of neurodegenerative diseases and delay the progression of the disease and even reduce some motor symptoms. So we will want to use virtual reality to train and help those patients in a virtual environment. And we already got a contract from the European agency, special agency, to integrate 5G SATCOM communication, so we can able to reproduce and simulate this virtual environment like table tennis need these low latency conditions. So we're raising a 500K convertible note to cover our expenses to finalize our technology. We already pre-selling our services or coaching services, but we need a lot of data to train and be able to provide this expert knowledge. And we're closing our seed round next year at 2.5 million. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Ricardo. I'm going to not have time for Q&A. I'm just going to ask for one more person who's Adam. You're going to be our last speaker of the night. And I apologize. We're just running out of time. So everybody who's still in the queue, stay in the queue so we can make sure we get all your names. And we'll invite you back to be at the beginning of the program next. Adam, you're our final speaker. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. I'm Adam Southam. And the problem we're solving is that 80% of chronic disease is caused by the food we eat. And you walk into your local store, 52% of people are actually reading the label, but they have no clue exactly what that means. So we invented an app that connects the dots between your individual health conditions and wellness goals and the clinical efficacy of the ingredients in the product. Simply stated, for the rest of the world out there, they go in, they download the app, enter the conditions and goals, scan the product, and it will say go or no, hence the name, go no, whether it's good or bad for you as an individual. 830 conditions, about 147 wellness goals. It replaces the human condition of the reading with the scanning, and it saves time. It provides, it's about 2 seconds instead of 90 seconds to read what you don't understand. Provides clinical accuracy, provides health outcomes, and actually can make the user money. We're a B2B SaaS company distributing through medical practices and enterprise users, such as grocery stores, life insurance, health insurance, employers, employee benefits, etc. Partners make revenues from us. Other outcomes are obviously the health benefit. There's, as we look at it, $3.1 trillion is wasted on sick care. This is preventable, all caused by eating the wrong food. Behavior change and really big data, because we'll get to follow Susie in Kroger and know what she's eating, what she wants to scan, what she scans, what she wants to buy, and then her behavior as to what she will buy, tie that all with her markers, her blood work, et cetera, et cetera. And we can provide some really amazing data when it's all over. We make our money through subscriptions. So you can buy the app. It's free right now on either Apple's or Google Store, but you could buy it eventually in a few months at $4.99 a month. Most people are going to get it given to them by, again, their health insurance, their grocery store, et cetera. We have a $2 million convertible round with an 8% coupon. $6 million valuation now, 8 million post. And I think that's it. Did I do 2 minutes?
No, you did great. And I appreciate you finishing us off with your pitch. Thank you to everybody. We've written down the names of those who unfortunately were in the queue, but we just didn't have time for. And I apologize that we're not going excessively longer like we used to do last year. I find that we start to lose our audience after 2 hours. It's hard to sit through 2 straight hours of this, even though it's amazing to hear all of you guys talk. And for me, it's easy to listen for longer, but I want to respect our audience. So I'm trying to make each of these events just 2 hours. And that'll be the case for the next many Wednesdays. Please continue to keep coming back. This Saturday, if you'd like to learn how I would suggest you go about raising money this year, you'll hear me talk about it in more detail, 12 noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. Many of you already know what I'm going to say because you've already talked to me in the past. But those of you who haven't, come and listen and at least hear another opinion as to, what you might be doing this year. Things are different right now. This isn't the same as it's been in the last decade. And I think that there needs to be some mental adjustments or modest adjustments in thinking if you're going to actually be successful at raising money this year. Anyways, thank you all for staying. We still have 140 people in the room, which is amazing at the end of the night. And I appreciate all of you. You guys absolutely rock. If you could do me one favor, I'd love it if everybody could just turn their camera on for a second and wave at your camera, because I love getting these views of everybody waving at your camera, because I love getting these views of everybody waving. I use them for marketing. It helps me out immensely. So I really appreciate you all being part of that. Thank you so much. And I want to see all of you again next week. And if you want to talk to me directly, my calendar is at marknovember.com. Thank you, everybody.
Mark, the last person that spoke, could he also present next time? Because it was very interesting and we had so many questions.
If he's available on April 12th, that's my next life science meeting. It's 4 weeks from now. So we'll figure that out between now and then. Thank you, everybody. Take care, everybody. Wonderful to see you again. Bye-bye. It was a great session. Amazing founder pitches. Really loved it. Take care. Bye-bye.